is going on, mentees? We are back with episode. I'm sorry, I keep saying episode, but I shouldn't do that because we have agreed that we are having conversations. Right? So we here with Conversation 5, and we are going into the new year, huh?
Into the new year.
Are y'all ready for the new year?
Oh my God, so freaking ready.
So ready. So glad to say goodbye to 2020.
Yeah.
Let's recap 2020.
Please don't.
Well, we still
That's
like
fine,
in
go for it.
COVID city right now.
Still are. I think we're going through the major part. We're going to end up going through major with flu season.
So I want to recap 2020 real quick because with recapping 2020, it really enforces what we say we're going to do or not going to do for 2021. So that's the only reason why I want to recap 2020 a little bit. I'm going to tell you right now, 2020 has been
Hot mess.
You know, COVID has been a blessing in disguise.
I said there's always a silver lining.
It not everything, yeah. But I can say that because I'm military and I've been out to sea. And when I'm at sea, we go 60, 70 days at a time and not hitting land. So with me being stuck in the house for 3-4 weeks, it was nothing to me. And I saw a lot of memes going around about that saying, military personnel and COVID is just like, okay, whatever, peace, deuce, chilling, where everybody else is like freaking out. I got to get out of the house. So with that being said, to me, it's been a blessing in disguise because I was able to save some money. Didn't spend as much money as I would have spent had COVID not been here.
Okay.
But you two, what are your different
people that have and have not? They kind of caught it. They have not.
What have some of your experiences been like?
Well, it's been even the transformation of just working from home. That was like a challenge.
Yeah.
And not being able to deal with your clients, face to face. The market situation, just shopping, eating situations, that took its toll on a lot of people. And then I'm in that age group where, we were more susceptible to it. So
that's right.
We had to, watch. And I think that took a toll on a lot of the older people because they were confined, like you said, to their houses. And some of their just daily or breaking the monotonous of getting older was to get out, to go to the supermarket. That was an outing for them, They couldn't do that anymore. So they, you call them and check on them, and then they want to talk for hours and hours because they were lonely.
Yeah, they had nothing else to do, huh?
Yeah, and that happens anyway because as we get older and our friends and relatives start dying out, kids ain't at home no more. And some people's kids are gone.
And the crazy part about it is some people actually went home or died by themselves because
Gonna be with their families.
Yeah, I remember the sad thing was there was a lady. She had 6 kids. She had I want to say she had 2 sets of twins. I think her oldest boy was 18 and 15, and they were biracial. And they had to talk to her on her deathbed with walkie-talkies. They weren't allowed to see her, and she died.
That's devastating.
That is sad. That
was really sad. It was just so sad.
I don't want to put this conversation in a sad disposition.
Okay, so
well, before we talk about the beginnings, we gotta talk about how everything ended. So there's a silver lining for sure.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that I will go into 2021 knowing is that not to take life for granted.
Exactly. Yeah. Not to take anything.
And and you hear this all the time, but you never really tap into it. And they always say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And a lot of times we don't do that preparation part.
No, exactly.
So I will say 2020 has allowed me to step back a little bit and say, prepare for what things that may come.
Yes, and don't take anything for granted because there are no guarantees in life.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, 2020 for me was devastating. I mean, I moved here a few years ago, so I have no family. It's just me out here. Family. It's been extremely. Oh, thanks, buddy. It's been extremely, difficult to make those decisions of if and when you go back home to see your family, if the risk is worth, the gain. But 2020 has been a hot mess. I mean, with the coronavirus, with the presidential election, with the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, it's been a lot, you know. And I live in a near at the time the Black Lives Matter movement was, you know, the riots and protesting was out. I was in downtown LA, you know what I mean? So it was very traumatic to hear, you know, they weren't gunshots, but I don't know if this was happening in your cities, but there were people lighting fireworks at night randomly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, for a while we didn't know what that was. So to hear so much chaos outside was just very traumatic. And not that those riots and protests didn't need to happen, but they were just, it was a consistent reminder that they were going on top of so much. Yeah, you know, it's been a crazy year.
Whole paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, was it difficult for you in the dating aspect? Because I think you're dating, huh? Or trying to date?
Yeah, I mean,
date a date.
It's, you know, like you can't with the you're talking about with the coronavirus.
Yeah, just being able to move about, because a lot of the restaurants was closed, and then they went to this, you know, open air. You can go out to open air restaurants. The bars definitely put a hindrance on a lot of people, because sometimes that is your social being.
Yeah. I mean, but the root of it is in 2020 is meeting on social media. So, I mean, it didn't really change the way that you meet people. It just changed the amount of people you actually met in person. Because the thing is, with coronavirus, there was a lack of information, and even the information they did put out kind of contradicted itself. So you were just like, do I meet people? Do I not meet people? Am I waiting for symptoms? Am I, you know, telling people, did you get tested? You could even have gotten tested.
People
and
sneaking out and getting them a piece here and there.
I'm not going to. What is it? I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna comment on that.
Exactly.
Okay.
What is it? What is it? What that they say? I'm not gonna. When they say I'm not gonna, like, not approve, but I'm not gonna
validate that.
Right. Anyways, let's move on, because I have a brain fart. But anyways, yeah, you know, it is what it is. But you know,
I think about it did bring some people closer in a sense. Because the people that had to stay home with their kids, they got to see how it is. And I think they probably have a lot of divorces coming up.
They did say that. They said that a lot of people... No, and not only that, it was really, really sad. I'm telling you, this year has been crazy. They were talking about how domestic violence, the statistics were going up because people were spending more time with their spouses. And also where people would escape to, like movie theaters or... restaurants, when they needed to get out of their household because they were arguing with people. They didn't have those options to go anymore.
Don't say another word.
You just pick up your stuff and leave. Now you can't go anywhere. You would have to stay in that toxic environment.
You had to go to work, so you had to get out, and so I don't have to see you until 5:30.
Again, working from home. So it just more divorces, more domestic violence. That's sad. More suicide. The suicide rate went up. I mean, it's just been crazy.
Well, I mean, so...
Sorry, going back to your question, dating has been, it's been crazy, but, you know, kind of, again, social media makes it so that in quarantine or not, you still can communicate, talk to people.
Well, that's the good thing about social media, I would say.
Yeah, and FaceTime.
So let's jump from... because we can talk about Corona all
but dating's so different now, though. It's like you go out with somebody to date, and this is what you see across the table.
Honestly, it's a rule though. Like if I'm going out with, if I'm on a date with somebody and they're on their phone,
I hear you. No, that's right. I feel the same way.
End of the conversation.
End of the conversation. I'm really nice though, so I'll carry the date out, but I definitely don't have time for any of that. It's like, what are you doing?
We're not repeat. No.
This is an hour of your day, and you don't know me. So you're supposed to try and get to know me, and you're gonna be on your phone. But whatever.
So let's jump into let's jump into the election.
Live in spite of them. The election.
Let's jump into the election. So if you don't know, you guys all should know, but you know, it's something they say. You know, you really shouldn't discuss religion and politics, right? Because you can create a lot of enemies.
Yeah,
a lot of enemies. So I like to play the, you know, not really the devil's advocate, but I want to be like that mediator just to see both sides of it. I really wasn't a fan of Trump. I heard Lizzo. I love me some Lizzo.
Shout out to Lizzo.
I love her because she is so real sometimes. But I heard her say, in one of her Instagram postings that the newer generation is not into, and I'm paraphrasing it. I'm just what I took from what she was saying. The newer generation is not really into the whole red and blue Republican Democratic thing. They're more into what's right and what's wrong. And I agree with that so much. And that whole concept of what's right and what's wrong is primarily based upon your upbringing.
Right. I agree with it to a certain extent, but one that doesn't know his history or his past, cannot really validate the future, because there is a reason that we went through all of that. See, and so when you start not just caring, the younger generation is so narcissistic. It's all about fast money. It's all about me. And I get it, because like they say, to even be accomplished, you have to have a little narcissism about you. You have to have these little mini revolutions with yourself to move forward. But I think that's also why we're in the state that we're into as well, because the young generation don't give a shit.
I'm in between. I'm in the middle of it. I mean, I feel like, man, they say that not really choosing a side is, the majority will be Democratic and Republican, and a lot of young people consider themselves independent, or they just don't associate themselves with anything. They vote for Kanye West, and then
that's not okay.
That's a failed vote. I shouldn't say that because whatever, vote for who you want, but it's just I'm in between.
Are you really looking at everything? Are you really looking at the causes? Are you really looking at the situation? For me to hear a president or somebody run for president in this day and time and say there's no systemic racism, I can't go with you at all at that point, because where's your thought pattern? What is
but some people, I feel like with Donald Trump, a lot of people rule him out. Those who don't rule him out because of policy or because he is a racist rule him out maybe because of just the way that he carries himself, the way that he speaks.
That's my problem with him.
Because I have a lot of people that I know.
Not diplomatic at all.
Yeah, and my thing is that when you're a president, you are in a position that you have to understand you work for the people.
Yes.
You're not in it because of you and who you are and what you accomplish. It is because the people have placed their faith in you to make changes for people not like you.
Right. And he did not care about the people.
And that was what became my issue with.
So yeah, I had a lot of things going on with him.
To me, it was a simple fact. That like I have a lot of Black African American, what you want to call them? Not them, but let me.
I got you. We get it.
I have a lot of Black friends and family, and even in my own culture in Puerto Rico. I mean, my dad is your color, literally. You know what I mean? And for all of my friends who I know and love and know that their intentions are pure, to feel like their president and the people who support him are racist towards them, and they feel that there's an inequality. To be honest, this was the first year that I voted, and I voted for them. Yeah. I couldn't. Aside from everything else, I could not sit there and either not vote or vote for somebody who is a racist. Like, I don't deal with that. I don't feel like I don't relate to that issue. I can be mad about my business and my taxes and my president not being well educated or well spoken, but I would never want to be at a place where I feel like my president doesn't support my race.
And that's what you want to be involved in, is the holistic approach of it. And I think a lot of people a lot of young people, like just you said, didn't vote. I mean, it wasn't important for them to vote until this moment in time when they seen things so bad. It's like, I think Snoop Dogg said this is the first time he.
A lot of people came out and said that.
So, but what would have happened if we had been doing that consistently, voting for all those people that went out there and sacrificed their lives during the civil rights time? If we would have really took that to heart, and find out that's a necessity. That's something that you have to do. People lost your life so we could be sitting right here.
Back at square one. Like, it's disgusting.
Not only that, but now that we've elected a new president, the outgoing president is given such a
spoiled bully.
And it's almost like, you teach your kids, and this is where I have a problem with, because I teach my kids not to be sore losers. And in anything you do in life, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. When you're in competition, that is. When you lose, the best thing for you to do is to bow out gracefully.
Right.
But he's not going to do that.
It's just like when you're playing sports and you go and you shake the other person's hand. It's how you play the game.
Exactly.
He didn't play the game, right?
And he lost.
Yeah, and he lost. And now he's going to...
But and this is what really starts to irritate me is because in 2016 when he was elected, we didn't have these issues.
And all the things the Republicans were saying at that point where we were sore losers, we didn't want to accept the fact that the votes were in, and now they turn around and do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you ask the people, and I get it with the younger people, you ask the people why you have such a lack of concern. Because I've seen government fail. I've seen the churches fail, the popes in particular. I've seen all this. So why should I believe in anything? Why should I be concerned about it?
Yeah.
You're going to do what you want to do anyway.
And the majority of the world in America, to be honest, is in the minority in terms of being wealthy. So, I mean, we've just learned how to, just survive. And as long as we're surviving, who cares about politics?
But, it's the thing is like...
And that's what I'm saying they think. I'm not saying I think that.
And whoever they are.
Just to be clear.
But you get into that point where, like a lot of people were panicking with the virus and the whole thing come. For me and a lot of other Black African Americans, it was business as usual.
Yeah.
We have been up against this all our entire lives. That's all we know is. Somebody was saying there was a series on where they did time travel. And the guy said, let's go back to a period of such and such. And the Black guy who was heading up the team said, well, there's no point in history where I can go back to where I was really free.
Yeah.
That's deep. And so that's sad.
So we can talk about this all day.
For real.
But let's hop into the new year, okay? Let's talk about, so in 2019, every year we do this. We make some New Year's resolutions, say some stuff that we ain't going to do, what we going to do, and all this other kind of stuff. In 2019, you made a resolution. What was that resolution for you?
In 2019, I believe it was to be more successful. But then I had to really define through 2019 made me define what is it that I really want. What is it?
So what I'm trying, 2019 going into 2020, what resolutions did you make for 2020?
So for 2020, that was basically it, to do better and to get to know myself better than I've ever known before.
Yeah, we've had this conversation 1,001 times, and to start doing for you and putting you first.
Yeah.
So did that happen?
Well, to a certain degree, yes, it did.
Okay.
I have seen myself go from, and I have a life coach, and he was telling me, I can't believe your growth. And one of the things that we had said is like, sometimes when we, like when we're in a court battle or going through divorce, going through whatever situations, and people try to get us to settle out of court. And he said, when you settle, you never get what you deserve or what you set out to do.
You just spoke into my spirit.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave that there. For you, Joelle, was there anything that you set out to do in 2020 that you didn't accomplish? Granted, you have this wonderful single out.
Yes, so.
Please listen and stream to Rather Be Lonely, available on all streaming platforms.
Real
Thanks
quick,
for the plug and on YouTube.
How many streams we at now, though?
We're at 14,000.
See what I'm saying?
That's great.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the plug. Rather Be Lonely, all streaming platforms, YouTube. More music coming. I always do realistic goals. I'm not into doing all of the resolutions, writing them down and stuff like that. I always focus on my identity, my health, and my money. So I always want to make more money than I did the year before. I always want to make sure that I'm more in tune with my identity because I have identity issues, and my health, just trying to be more fit because I've always I want a six pack. I've always just wanted a six pack.
Okay, well I have a cake. I'll give it to you.
So that is something really, really, what you just said, how you focus on, say it again?
Money, health, and identity.
So instead of making resolutions, why don't we start doing that, focusing on those three
because
things?
it's a what is it, a trend to be like, I want to lose 50 pounds and I want to, I don't know, what do people do as resolutions? But they just do a lot of, it's very specific
I had
things
said
that
for this year, many people say, they refer to, well, I'm writing a new chapter. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm closing out this book. I'm not writing another chapter to this book.
We're gonna write a whole new book.
This is a new beginning, a new book, and a damn bestseller.
There you go.
What were yours?
So for me, my New Year's resolution was to mend relationships. So my son and I, we hadn't. Well, by the time we started talking again, it had been almost a year. My oldest, and then my daughter. Me and my daughter, we were like. You look at her, you say she's a daddy's girl. We had kind of grew apart a little bit. So my whole thing this year was to mend relationships. And I must say, I mended those relationships.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So I accomplished my New Year's resolution. Now tomorrow it may be broken, but
today it's
look after they hear this conversation, they be like, man, daddy full of crap. You know what I'm saying?
You're the liar.
And they might start talking to me again, but. I will say, that was one of my New Year's resolutions was to mend relationships. And I did, which was so important to me with my kids. I will say going into, and I'll leave this off, going into 2021, I'm not going with any expectations.
Well, I'm going with expectations. I'm going with expecting the best. I'm looking for all the seeds of opportunity.
We can't go any lower than we are, so it can only go up.
I'm not going with any expectations, but I have goals that I want to achieve. Now, what I mean about expectations, I understand that certain things don't happen because they all happen in time. Mm-hmm. There's a time. So where I may be wanting something at this particular time, it may not be time for me. So I have goals. I'm going to set those goals, but I'm not going to be expecting them to come to fruition until it's time. Yeah. So that's what I meant by that. Okay. So what? Well, I had to clean that up because you was about to hand me my life.
Expectations. What you mean?
You was about to hand me my life.
No, it's just that sometimes we don't. But sometimes we don't. We don't expect the best. And I think through this year, through even talking about 2019 and going through 2020, it was like my whole thing was better and best. Mm-hmm. I'm in a better situation, but I know best is out there, so I'm gonna continue to work toward best. And like you had said, that one of the key thing is each day when I go to bed, I ask myself, do I know myself any better than I did when I woke up this morning? Mm. And if you do that, you will find something. You will always find something, so you're always moving forward in that. And so you get a little, like you said, you can check out completed. I did this. Yeah. I did as much as I could do today. And it's okay if I didn't get everything done. Yeah. But it's out there. It's going to come in this time.
That's beautiful.
What about you, Mr. Joelle?
What? Sorry, what was the question?
What are your sights set on for 2021? New beginnings. This is a new. We actually going into a whole. I mean, everything is changing. New president.
I'll tell you. Our way of life is changing. Isn't it? We're wearing these damn masks and
even. I don't like setting specific goals, but just stuff that I want for the future. Is just to be signed by a management company or a record label that can fund.
I can get that contract together.
All of my dad always says the same thing. He's like, "You want me to call Pharrell?" I'm like, if only it was that easy. But no, my music came really like I always knew I wanted to be a singer, but my music just literally fell into my lap and it just happened.
You write it.
I wrote it. Yeah, I was a part of the whole process, and yeah, I just want to kind of. But it's all funded independently, so it's all me, all planning, all finding the networking and stuff like that. So
you're single. What's the name of it again?
Rather Be Lonely.
And what is that about?
That is about a relationship that I was in, where this is the first person that I found that I loved. Like this was the closest thing to love that I had, and this we just didn't work out. And then I was always waiting for our resolution, for us to reconnect and really end things in a positive note. And this person reached out to me again, and I was very excited to kind of start a new chapter, whether it be us just be cordial or us go into another relationship. And then the next day they ghosted me. And you know what ghosted means? Mm-hmm. You sure? The next day they just the next day it was 360. It was like, oh, I want to hang out, I want to talk, I want to do it, all of that, and then ignored. But ignored, they saw my stuff. I saw that they saw my stuff. They were online.
Just never responded.
Just ignored. And then when I reached out, he was like, oh, it's not the same. And whatever. Point is, from that literal moment, I was just like, you know what? I just rather not be with you than to like. I'd rather be lonely than to be with somebody like you.
Because I like that title.
Yeah,
and I think it probably reveals a lot.
And that sparked everything. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Well, I want to wish both of you guys a happy New Year.
Thank you. It'll be a better year.
It'll be a better. We have each other, if nothing else.
Yes, we do.
And look, the podcast itself is growing. Yeah, we have Joelle now, Cornelius. You know, we have Joelle. This was a vision of mine in 2019.
Betty Davis said, "All this fine music."
So this is a vision of mine in 2019, and it's growing.
And by the way, if you're listening, sorry to interrupt you. If you're listening or if you're watching, thank you for supporting. You know, the LA Mentors. Thank you for supporting me coming on here. Yeah.
And I gotta say thank you, Lawrence, because Lawrence saw the vision.
Yeah.
And I love people that can make shit happen. You know, you do what you can do. And you started right away, and it was just like, I just sat back.
And you know what? And the way I sit back and I analyze things, and just like I said, things will happen the way it's supposed to happen, when it's supposed to happen. It just started off me and you. We went into it initially saying we wanted three people. Yeah. And when it was supposed to happen, it happened.
And I just believe that always the right person will come.
I just want to thank both of you. I want to thank you, Cornelius, for your mentorship for 2020. For you just listening to me, talking to me, encouraging me, telling me you can do it. You have all the resources, Lawrence. You just got to do it. I want to thank you for that. Look, I'm tearing up and shit.
Because I felt like an old movie star that was brought back to the screen.
So I just want to thank you for being there for me.
Thank you.
And then as we close out this year, I want to thank you, Joelle, for just agreeing to do this. And I'm telling you, next year is going to be bigger and better because Joelle is full of ideas. Yeah. Like, you know, and with his energy and him being that millennial, we can tap into that.
It was perfect. He was perfect.
Oh my God.
Age. I didn't know it was going to come in such a nice, attractive package.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
I always accept a compliment. Always.
So I just want to thank you for just saying, I got you, Lawrence. I'll do it. I'll support it, whatever. Sure. And that's what it's all about. It's about supporting one another.
And the team's been really good. Ariana, love you too.
Shout out to them for real.
So behind the scenes, all of this, we could not do what we do if it wasn't for Ariana Dickinson.
Yes.
I think I said that last name right. And my youngest son, Lawrence Hamilton, the third. If it had not been for them, all of this could not be possible. So
I don't see it, but we got 4 cameras. We got 4. Well, actually, y'all probably, you can't see it on YouTube because they make it very clean. But we have, this is a full production. And I appreciate you guys letting me come in here. I feel like we mesh very well. Yeah. You know, it's hard sometimes to go into something that's already created. Yeah. But, you know, I just came in with what is it, Sound Mind? Same sound mind. I don't know.
Being a sound mind.
Whatever y'all old people say.
This guy. Anyway,
like that when you're closer to me.
As I always say, you guys have a happy New Year.
Yes.
I wish nothing but for the best for everybody in 2021. Yes. Remember, you are not alone in this world. Talk to somebody, especially in the LGBTQIA plus community. Reach out to the alphabet. Yeah.
And whatever is to come.
Look, reach out to whomever you need to reach out to. Be safe out there. Love yourself before you love anybody else. With that being said, you know what I like to say. Being you is the best you can be. And we'll see you in 2021.
2021.
Out.